Hi everyone, today I'm going to be evaluating FedStats, and if you look at the URL, it's not fedstats.gov, it's fedstats.sites.usa.gov. It was once fedstats.gov, and they have since changed the URL, just so you know. So upon first glances, FedStats very straightforward, and they tell you right away what they're all about, and as it states, they're a trusted source for federal statistical information since 1997. And they support a community practice of over 100 agencies engaged in the production and dissemination of official federal statistics. And they provide the public with a showcase of information. And the most important word, I feel, in this little write-up is the word dissemination. And upon a quick Google search, dissemination is the act of spreading something, especially information, widely, circulation. So let's take a look at FedStats. It's an extremely uncomplicated site, and they put everything out right where they want you to see it. They have home, about, showcase, resources and standards, agencies, data releases, news and updates, as well as feedback. And you can search the entire FedStats website for specific statistical information if you know what you're looking for. So upon scrolling, they have also a latest news section, and it lists all kinds of recent statistical information. And if you look to the right, you can see a slew of RSS feeds from specific federal government agencies. And here they list the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the Bureau of Justice Standards, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, etc. And there's quite a wealth of agencies you can subscribe to. And even here is the Census Bureau, which we looked at earlier in another screencast. Again, they list their about, and they also provide links to about, their feedback, and their privacy and accessibility. So again, if we think about who is putting information on FedStats, it's similar in the vein of USA.gov in that it's an index. So FedStats is pulling data from all kinds of government agencies, not just one. They have over 100, I believe. And we'll get into which agencies they decide to pull data from. Let's start by clicking the About FedStats link that they provide. And it takes you again to pretty much what was written over on the right. They explain that they've been around since 1997 and that they're here to provide full access to statistical information produced by the federal government. And basically, the federal agencies that provide data and reports to FedStats are listed in the statistical programs of the United States government, and if they spend at least $500,000 on data collection per year, their reports are included in FedStats. So on FedStats, you're not going to find information that's necessarily confidential or in the vein of WikiLeaks, but you need to look at which organization is producing the data and critically analyze whether or not they are a reliable source. So let's head back to the front page and see if we can look at a report. So I'm going to scroll down just to find a report and give it a good once over. Here's one from the Food Assistance Landscape, and this is from 3/20/2015, as you can see. And I want to find out what's in it. So I click it, I see who is responsible for writing it, and there's also a link to his name, which you're able to click. It gives his information. It tells you his role. He's Assistant Deputy Director for the Program of Research and Information in the Food Economics Division, and background. And I think that's really good, just as a marker of credibility of who's producing this information. So I'm going to head back now to the report itself. And as you can see, there is a link to the entire report, a report summary, and you are able to download the zip file. And it states here that this is a report from the Economic Research Services, and they're using preliminary data from the USDA's Food and Nutrition Service to examine food trends and nutritional assistance programs throughout 2014. So just right here, it can be determined that this report is a secondary source using primary sources from the USDA. And let's take a look at the entire report. As you can see, it's quite lengthy. And it states right here that it's via the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So a link to accessing the report online is also included, as well as the ability to download the charts and tables contained in the report, and a handy citation. And now I'm just going to scroll a little further so you can see the format and layout of Oliveira, the author's report, and get a sense of what exactly FedStats puts out. Here's the table of contents, which breaks down Oliveira's analysis of the USDA's fiscal expenditures regarding food nutrition assistance programs. And a report like this might be very handy for someone who is in charge of revamping a school lunch program and wants to look at how money is being spent regarding food assistance. And here I'm just scrolling so you can, again, look at the layout and what is available. There's some nice charts and tables. And in this secondary source, Oliveira is running down the kinds of issues and analyses he's gathered from the data produced by the USDA. So I'm going to head back now because this is an evaluation of FedStats and not Oliveira's research, but keep in mind that the organization producing this information is the Economic Research Services and the USDA. And here I am, back to the link providing the report. And again, scroll up, I am back at FedStats. So FedStats is really useful if you're looking for statistical information about government spending or information gathered through the census. You can also find information produced by all sorts of agencies, which are listed at this tab. You can see that information from the National Center for Education Statistics, Agricultural Research Services. This list encompasses the reports found on FedStats. All right, now heading back to the front page. All right, now we're going to head back to the front page. And I'm interested in one last tab, which is the resources and standards. And this is what sets the tone for what FedStats produces on their website. Clicking it, I met with a link to the White House regarding their federal statistical programs and standards policy. And upon clicking this link, it takes me to the White House website, and it outlines how statistics are gathered and the kinds of regulations that are imposed in order to create reliable and trustworthy statistical information. All right, I'm going to head back to FedStats. Just end with a few closing thoughts. I think the website is really useful. You're able to access a ton of reports and statistical information that can be used to sort of analyze the kinds of activities that are being carried out by the US government. And the website is quite user-friendly, but again, as I've mentioned in my USA.gov evaluation, going in with the plan about the kinds of information you would like to access is highly suggested. Lastly, a pro and a con about this website. One of the pros being you have a ton of statistical info at your fingertips and it's just either one click or search away, but everyone needs to be a critical consumer of the information and be aware of what agency is putting out the reports and the data. And FedStats is a great tool for ferreting out government reports containing statistical info.